Dylann Storm Roof was born on April 3 of 1994 in Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia is an area with a large community of African Americans. His parents were divorced, but they remarried other people, and Dylann was raised by his stepmother. He has two siblings, an older half-sister and a younger sister, Morgan Roof, which also had a troublesome episode with the justice after the attack.
Well, earlier you mentioned like the neo-Nazis.
Yeah,
skinheads.
Skinheads. I wish there were, but there aren't.
So you're not in any? Are you in any groups like that?
No. I do consider myself a white supremacist, sure. White people are superior. That's what you mean. No, I don't think there's, like, for example, you got East Asian people. They got higher IQs than white people. I don't have a problem admitting that. It's just the facts. Only other races probably, about equal to white people would be like East Asians, like Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, people like that. Because we've invented a lot more stuff than them. But they're good at improving on our inventions.
Sure. But in your mind, the white race is the dominant race.
No, I don't think the white race is the dominant race. I wish it was, though. I think it should be. That's the problem.
Dylann often presented himself as a white supremacist, but despite his racist ideologies, Dylann Roof had black friends, and it has been reported he was not raised in a racist family.
He never said it. I've never heard that. Not once did I hear him say it. And we've been drunk plenty of nights. We've been so drunk that he's passed out on the side of his car, and we had to take him in the house. And not once in any of that did he say anything racist. My opinion about Dylann doesn't change. My feelings about him doesn't change. I still love him as a friend.
He never once said anything to me derogatory, racist, anything like that. Otherwise, we would have not been friends whatsoever. People say, oh, it's gonna be from the mom. The mom always, or the dad always instills, that type of hatred in somebody. That was not inside of him the entire time that I've known that kid and his mom. They were not like that. And I still believe that his mom is one of the greatest people I've ever met, one of the greatest, nicest ladies I've ever met. Something in him turned, and it was recent. It wasn't his whole life. He was sitting bubbling with hatred towards black people. No, that just happened, and I don't know why.
How long have you felt this way? I mean, I guess my question is, was there ever a time where you?
Right. Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
The first thing that I would say woke me up, would be the Trayvon Martin case. That was a while back.
Right.
What was it, 2 years ago? And I kept hearing about this kid, and I'm like, eventually I decided to look his name up, just type him into Google, you know what I'm saying? And then I read the Wikipedia article about Trayvon Martin. And I couldn't understand what the big deal was. You see what I'm saying? And then, for some reason, after I read that, I typed in. For some reason, it made me type in the words "black on white crime," and that was it. Ever since then.
Questions is we want to know: is there somebody else involved? Is there somebody, that nurtures you and like led you down this path, or was this just Dylann? Did Dylann just come up with this all on his own, as you said, or is there somebody else there that's recruiting, training, and getting paid and saying, "Hey, let's go do this"?
No. I mean, it's pretty much just it sounds lame. I don't really like to say it, but it's pretty much just the internet. All the information's there for you.
Can you, other than the movie that you watched, that Britain movie, we talked about American History X, which you said is not a good movie. Are there specific books that you've read about this subject matter?
Books?
articles, magazines, authors?
I've never really read any books. I haven't even read, Mein Kampf or anything like that,
When Dylann was in middle school, he started smoking marijuana, and on one occasion he was caught buying drugs between classes. Dylann dropped school in 2010, and between 2010 and the incident in 2015, family members said he was mostly doing nothing but playing video games, taking drugs, and getting drunk. Prior to the shooting, he was working as a landscaper under his father's orders, but he had quit the job. Criminal record. Dylann Roof was investigated and interrogated on several occasions, but never arrested or charged for any serious crime. These occurrences took place months prior to the shooting. On the 28th of February 2015, Dylann went to the Columbiana Center in Columbia, dressing all in black, and started making unsettling questions to the employees. On the 2nd of March, Dylann was taken to the police station for questioning, and a bottle of Suboxone was found in his possession. Suboxone is a narcotic used to treat chronic pain, but it is also used for recreational purposes. He was charged with drug possession, which is a misdemeanor, and received a year ban from entering the Columbiana Center Mall. On the 13th of March 2015, Dylann was investigated for loitering near a park in downtown Columbia. While searching his vehicle, the officer found an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle and ammunition. Yet Dylann was not charged because it's not illegal to own a rifle in South Carolina. On April 26, 2015, Dylann violated the ban and was arrested for entering the Columbiana Center Mall. As a result, 3 additional years were added to the ban. The mistake. According to South Carolina's laws, Dylann Roof should not have been able to purchase the gun he used in the shooting. Dylann was arrested on a misdemeanor drug charge. A misdemeanor does not stop a person from purchasing a gun according to the state law. However, there's another article that does forbid a person who consumes drugs from owning a gun. It was these lapses in the background check system that allowed Dylann to buy the gun. The Massacre. On the 17th of June 2015, a total of 12 people gathered at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in South Carolina to participate in a Bible study. At 8:17 p.m., Dylann Roof enters the church with a gun concealed in his fanny pack. According to a witness, Dylann asked specifically for Reverend Pinckney. He sat down next to him and took part in the Bible scriptures discussion. Prior to the massacre, a video was recorded inside the church. Dylann's blonde hair is easily spotted on the back. When the participants were preparing themselves to pray, Dylann stood, pulled the gun out of his fanny pack, and pointed the gun at Susie Jackson, an elderly woman 87 years of age. Her nephew, Tywanza Sanders, 26 years of age, tried to dissuade him from shooting, and at some point he asked why he was attacking them, to which Dylann responded, "I have to do it. You rape our women and you're taking over our country. And you have to go."
When he got up, that's when the gunman questioned him and started, saying, y'all rape our women, and y'all have taken over the country.
Then he said he was going to kill everyone. Tywanza Sanders jumped in front of the gun and was shot first.
I remember my son saying, "Mama, he shot me in the head." And I was telling my son, I said, just lay here, just lay here.
Then Dylann shot the churchgoers one by one, all the while he was shouting racial slurs. Then he also said, "Y'all want something to pray about? I'll give you something to pray about." Reverend Pinckney's wife and their daughter survived the attack because they locked themselves in the office while she called 911. The girl was recorded asking her mother if her father was dead. Dylann reloaded the gun 5 times. Tywanza Sanders' mother, Felicia Sanders, was also present at the church at the time of the shooting. She and her 5-year-old niece survived the attack because they pretended to be dead. To prevent the girl from making noise, Felicia covered her mouth and held tightly the girl in her arms.
She said it was just horrible. It was just blood all over the place. She played dead in order to survive, in order to get him not to shoot her.
And she told her granddaughter to play dead too?
Play dead, yes.
I muzzled her so hard. I'm surprised I didn't suffocate her. I tried to hold her as tight as I could to me so she wouldn't make a sound.
Polly Shepard, another survivor of the massacre, made a distressed 911 call asking for help while Dylann was still shooting the victims.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Please, Emmanuel Church, there's plenty of people shot down here. Please send somebody right away. Shot the pastor, he shot all the men in the church. Please come right away.
Okay, my partner's going to be getting some help on the way while I get a little bit more information from you, okay? Stay on the line with me. Are you safe?
He's still in here, I'm afraid. He's still in here. He's coming, please.
Okay, ma'am, are you able to, if he's coming, I need you to be as quiet as possible. Is there something that you can hide under?
I'm under the table.
And where are the weapons now?
He's got it in his hand. He's reloading.
He's reloading? Okay, I need you to bear with me, okay? How many shots has he fired?
I don't know. There's so many. 3 different rounds are all kind of... Oh, God, please.
Polly Shepard survived the massacre because, according to Dylann, he was going to kill himself, and someone needed to survive to tell the world what had happened. He told her, "Did I shoot you?" She replied, "No." Then he said, "Good, 'cause we need someone to survive, because I'm gonna shoot myself, and you'll be the only survivor."
When he got to me, he could hear me praying, and he said, "Shut up. Did I shoot you yet?" And I said, "No." And he said, "I'm not going to. I'm going to leave you here to tell the story."
Then Dylann pointed the gun at his own head and pulled the trigger, but he had run out of ammunition. However, later during the interrogation, he told the reason he spared Polly Shepard's life was because he did not wish to kill anyone else.
I don't know, I mean, it's just like, you know, after I'd already shot people, it's like, I didn't really even feel like I needed to shoot, you know, everybody, so I'm saying.
Which again, it goes back to what we said while we were part of that. You know, you thought you were probably going to die, and someone could tell the story.
You know, that's more really an excuse.
Yeah.
It's not really. It's really that I just didn't want to kill her. So.
Dylann then moved to the exit, but before leaving, he shouted more racial slurs at the corpse of the victims he had just killed. The shooting lasted 6 minutes, and Dylann admitted to having fired a total of 70 rounds at the churchgoers. At 9:07 p.m., the CCTV cameras caught Dylann leaving the church while holding the gun in his hand.
Well, to be honest, I was in absolute awe that there was nobody out there after I had shot that many bullets. I was like, oh my God, what are these cops doing? They're not even really doing their job. If you hear how many shots, I don't know how many shots that was. You know, what is it? 7 times 11, 77. You know, there's not even a cop outside. You know, so obviously, when I walked out that door, you know, I peeked out the door. So I thought there was going to be somebody there ready to shoot me, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's really why I had the last magazine, is not to shoot cops, it's so I could shoot myself. You see what I'm saying? When I saw a cop.
So you had it. So if the law enforcement would have showed up, you were going to go ahead and just.
Yeah, I wasn't going to ever shoot at a cop. I was going to shoot myself. But anyway, like I said, there was no cop, so I just got in my car and then I just drove out of Charleston. You know.
The victims. 9 people died in consequence of the shooting, including Congressman Pinckney. 8 died at the church, and the 9th victim was transported to the hospital but did not survive the attack. Dylann shot the victims multiple times at close range. The victims were 3 men and 6 women, all of them African American. A 10th person was also shot, but survived the attack. Other 5 people were inside the building during the attack, but they were unharmed.
Good afternoon, everybody. This morning, I spoke with, and Vice President Biden spoke with Mayor Joe Riley and other leaders at Charleston to express our deep sorrow over the senseless murders that took place last night. Michelle and I know several members of Emmanuel AME Church. We knew their pastor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney, who, along with 8 others, gathered in prayer and fellowship and was murdered last night. And to say our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families and their community doesn't say enough to convey the heartache and the sadness and the anger that we feel.
Manhunt and Apprehension. Dylann's father and his uncle contacted the police and positively identified Dylann as the person in the video. The FBI declared Dylann Roof as the main suspect, and a manhunt was launched to capture the mass shooter. On the next morning, Dylann was recognized by a driver at a traffic stop, approximately 245 miles or 394 kilometers away from the crime scene. The driver who spotted Dylann was Debbie Dills, a florist shop worker from Gastonia, North Carolina. She was driving to work when she recognized Dylann from the wanted person poster. She said it was the car with South Carolina license plates, the 3-flag Confederate States of America bumper decoration, and Dylann's haircut that helped her identify him. Debbie then called her employer to tell him what was happening. It was her employer the one who called the police.
Black Hyundai, white male traveling westbound. Advised the suspect looks like the subject they're talking about on the news from that Charleston shooting.
Okay, she said he's at Charles Road, headed towards Ingalls.
Okay, I've got some officers out there where Ingalls is.
To make sure Dylann wouldn't run away, Debbie followed him in her car for 35 miles or 56 kilometers until the police took over. Dylann then was apprehended in Shelby, North Carolina.
But I was just on my way to work, and I had seen a lot of the coverage, and I'd seen pictures of the car and pictures of the young man, and I just looked over and noticed the car, and I couldn't figure out really why I was looking at it. And then I realized I seen the car, I seen the South Carolina state, the license plate on the car, and then I seen the haircut, the things that, you know, the news was telling us to look for or to look at. And then I didn't want to believe it was him, but turned out it was him. I didn't follow him directly. I got off of the entrance and come back I started back to the floral shop, and I called my boss, he's the one, Todd, the owner here, is the one who guided me through, and he called the police and stayed on the phone for a while. I got back out onto the bypass to follow him to see if I could get his tag number and everything.
County, we just stopped the vehicle out near Plato Lee Road, confirmed it is a suspect from the Charleston shooting.
That terrible human being who would go into a place of worship and people were praying and kill them is now in custody, where he will always remain.
Investigation. When the police searched the car, they found the gun used during the shooting under a pillow in the back seat. The gun, a .45 caliber Glock, was purchased with money Dylann received from his parents during his birthday.
His parents gave him the cash for it for his birthday in April, and they both split the price of the gun in cash and gave it to Dylann to go buy the gun and put it in his name. That same night I took his gun and I hid it, and the next morning I didn't want to get in trouble, and him said I stole his gun, so I put his gun back in his trunk.
Not once. Like, we all took his gun from him. We took his gun and we took it in the house and put it in the air vent. But because of me and Joey's records, we both were not allowed to be around firearms. So his girlfriend was just like, y'all got records. I don't think Dylann's gonna do nothing, just give him his gun back. So we gave him his gun back. I just know that his mom had took the gun from him, and somehow, I don't know if he went back and took it from her, she gave it back to him. I have no idea about that. But he got the gun back, and he came over here, and then that's when all of us seen the gun for the first time.
At home, the police also found drawers and closets loaded with ammunition. By the evidences collected, detectives determined that Dylann started preparing for the attack 6 months prior to the shooting. Several videos of Dylann practicing for the shooting in the backyard of his home emerged after his detention. Using the car's GPS, the FBI was able to track down Dylann Roof's steps prior to the shooting. Dylann had visited several southern plantations where slavery was practiced, and other historical southern locations. Then the FBI also found out that Dylann drove his car on several occasions to the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church prior to the massacre. A list of other black churches was found in Dylann's belongings, which indicates they were other potential targets. A friend from Dylann, who at some point helped him hide a gun, told that the church was not his primary target, but the College of Charleston. It is believed that Dylann changed his mind because he understood would never be able to pass the security guards.
He just said that he was going to hurt a bunch of people at the University of Charleston, and he stopped talking about it. And I said, and I think he thought it went over my head that I didn't catch it. And I was like, what did you say? Why you want to hurt those people in Charleston? Like, what's your grudge against them? And he never said anything about it. He just stopped talking about it. And he just said in 7 days, they all got 7 days, and that was on last week Wednesday. And then Wednesday coming, he shot all these people in the church. And I don't even think the church was his primary target, because he told us he was going for the school. But I think he couldn't get into that school because of the security and all that.
Confession and motivation. When interrogated by the detectives, Dylann confessed to have racial-motivated reasons to commit the crime. However, when inquired specifically about his goals, his answers are rather vague. At parts of the interrogation, he explains that he wishes to agitate the white race to take action against black people. He does not say directly he wishes for a race war, but he does support the idea of segregation, and if that doesn't work because black people would not accept it, then yes, a race war would be a strong possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I went to that church in Charleston, and, I did it.
You did what?
Well,
I know it's tough sometimes to say.
It's not that I don't want to say it because I don't want to make myself seem guilty. I just don't really like saying it.
But I know sometimes we have to face those things, the realities.
We don't want to put any words in your mouth. That's why.
Right.
That's why Agent Stansbury just was asking what it exactly is that you did do.
Well, I killed him. Oh, well, I guess. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know how many people or anything like that.
So did you shoot him?
Yes.
What kind of gun did you use?
A Glock 45.
Was that your gun or?
Yes, I bought it from the gun store. Dude, I think there was 2 people that I didn't even shoot at all. Like one woman was over here, and I didn't even shoot her at all, because she was like looking at me and stuff.
So you didn't shoot that one woman because she was looking at you. But actually, it's hard to shoot somebody when they're looking at you, right? I mean, it is.
It's hard to shoot somebody anyway.
Right. But the other people, so were they shooting them in the back or just wherever they were, however they were?
Right, just however they were laying, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, after I'd already shot people, it's like I didn't really even feel like I needed to shoot, everybody. You see what I'm saying?
Which again, it goes back to what we said while we were part of that. You thought you were probably going to die, and someone could tell the story.
That's more really an excuse.
Yeah.
It's not really. It's really that I just didn't want to kill her. So, see what I'm saying? I was just sort of pacing around, because I was like freaking out a little bit too. You know what I mean? It's not. There was pauses in between, and thinking about, what I should do and stuff. But I guess in a way, you could say that's what I was doing.
But did anybody try and run, or did it
no?
Under the table?
See, I thought everybody was going to try to run out the door, but nobody did. They all went under the table.
And nobody charged you to try and stop you?
No.
Do you know how many people you shot?
If I was going to guess, five, maybe. I'm really not sure exactly.
So if I told you 9 people died last night, how would that make you feel?
And I wouldn't believe you.
It was 9.
There wasn't even 9 people there.
It was just a little bit over 9. But it's hard when you're looking at the tables to judge people.
You said when you went in there, you said it could have been 6, 8. You really weren't certain. You know.
Are you guys lying to me?
No, we're not.
8 people were dead at the scene. 2 were rushed to the hospital. So I guess it was 10 people were shot. Actually had gunshot injuries. It's my understanding. The 9th person died at the hospital, but 8 people were dead on the scene. They showed up. So how do you feel?
In all honesty.
Well, it makes me feel bad.
What is a result now of done that? Someone that's killed 9 people. What do you think? If you took black or white out of the issue, or let's say this, say a black man walked into a church and killed 9 white people, what should happen to him?
You already know the answer. Just tell us. I mean, I can see by the look on your face you already have a thought. So what was your thought on that when he asked you?
Well, you should probably die too, I guess.
Well, and I'm not sitting there saying, oh, you think you should die, because I mean, you thought you were going to die anyway carrying out this mission. But I guess the question I'm asking, you've said it, I just wonder, are you guilty of this? Would you consider this a crime? Yes. And you're guilty. We'll say it again?
I am guilty. Okay. We all know I'm guilty. Well, I just didn't want to go back to Columbia, and I just, like I said, I was still in all that I even was driving at all. I even got away.
Sure,
sure. So I just picked a place.
So you didn't expect to survive?
Oh, no.
So you really didn't have a good escape plan because you didn't think you'd make it out?
Right, there was no escape plan.
Had you thought about going, hey, I get some more bullets and go shoot some more people?
Oh, no, I was worn out. There's no way.
How did it make you feel afterwards? I mean, it's got to be a lot of adrenaline, right? Driving back.
No, not any adrenaline.
Are you glad you did what you did? I mean, do you think it sent the message you wanted it to send?
Well, I really couldn't tell you. I have no clue whether it sent a message or not.
But how do you feel personally about it? Are you glad you did it?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm glad I did it, but I've done it. So.
You said it was something you had to do?
Yeah, I have to do it.
If you could back up, would you do it again? I mean, that's how strongly you felt about this issue, right?
Well, at the moment, if I could back up to where I was just still sitting at the table thinking about walking out, I might walk out, I'm not going to lie. But,
Yeah. So, what is your thought about those people, though? Because I think you kind of alluded to earlier. In your mind, they're innocent people, right? I mean, there was clearly church-going people. They're in a Bible study.
Well, I'm trying not to really think about it,
But I mean, I guess the question would be: is it because they were black that really kind of overrode everything else? Because you had to send that message.
Well, it's like this. You see, I'm not in the position, by myself, to go into like a black neighborhood, or something like that, and shoot up, drug dealers or something like that. You see what I'm saying? That's not going to do anything. You see what I'm saying? I had to go somewhere else. You see what I'm saying?
So what you said, you had to go somewhere where you could shoot some people without getting shot. I mean, that right?
Right. Even if it, not necessarily that, like, say a black drug dealer would have shot me, but say I would have shot him, that's only one person. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so it wasn't the fact that you could have shot him and he might have shot you.
Right.
It was the fact that you knew I could shoot more people, like you alluded to or you said earlier.
Right.
There was several people in that. Do you wish there would have been more people in there? I mean,
no, because like I said, if that was the case, I would have shot everybody in there. You see what I'm saying? Afterwards, it's just like, that's why I didn't shoot that other lady. I could have, but I didn't.
Do you remember telling that lady, I'm going to let you live so you can tell my story? Or something
Yeah,
like that?
I don't remember saying that, but you know, there's really no story.
What did she say to you when you said that?
I don't think she said anything.
But I guess you said that, right? Because you thought you were going to walk out the door and probably you didn't think he was going to leave that alive. Leave there alive.
I didn't really know. You know, like I didn't hear anything out there, but you know, I thought they probably had it out there or something. So, see, I had it in a bag.
It was in a bag.
The bag's there. I dropped it.
You dropped the bag.
It was a black. Look, it was like a thing you can buy at a sporting goods thing. You know, for military people to hook on their whatever, their vest or whatever. But I just put it in my belt. And I had all my magazines and the gun in there. When I walked in the church, this thing was right on me, in front of me, you know. And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna see it, you know. And obviously they did, because I mean, this thing is big, it's heavy, you know, because it's got, what, 7 magazines, and I put 11 bullets in each magazine. They can hold 13, but I didn't want any it to jam or anything like that. So, you know, but anyway, it's still really heavy. Anyway, they saw it, but I just sat down because I guess they just didn't say anything. You know, and then I was sitting there and I was like, you know, just thinking about whether I should do it or not. You know, and that's why I was sitting there for 15 minutes, just like, you know, like, because I know I could have just walked out, you know, because they didn't say anything to me about what, you know, the thing on my belt. So I could have walked out, you know, and that's what I was just thinking, you know. But then I just, you know, like, it just, like, I don't know, it's like, not, you want to say spur of the moment, but, you know, I just finally decided I had to do it. And that's pretty much it.
Well, that goes to the next question. Why did you have to do it?
Oh, I had to do it.
How come? I mean, that's what I don't know. I mean,
well, I had to do it because somebody had to do something. Because, you know, black people are killing white people every day on the streets. And they rape white women, 100 white women a day. That's an FBI statistic from 2005. You know, that's 10 years ago. It might even be more now, who knows. It sounds unrealistic, but you break it down, that's 2 a state. It's really not unrealistic at all. It could not be more. You know, the fact of the matter is, what I did is so minuscule to what they're doing to white people every day, all the time. And just because that doesn't get on the news doesn't mean it's not happening. You know, everybody knows that the news is biased for black people. You know, we can pretend it's not, but we know it is.
Dylan, when you said you had to do this, so basically what you're...
I had to do it because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is brave enough to do anything about it, you know. Back in the late 80s and the early 90s, you know, we had skinheads and stuff like that. There's no skinheads left. There's no KKK. KKK never did anything anyway. You know, obviously, I realize that these people, you know, they're at church, you know, they're not criminals or anything, but that's not the point. Because the criminal black people kill innocent white people every day.
So what was your point then? What point were you trying to make? You said right there, these people were in church, they were innocent.
Right.
But what was the point of targeting them?
Because I just knew that would be a place where there would be a, you know, at least, you know, a small amount of black people, you know, in one area.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I thought about going to like a black festival or something like that, but they got security and stuff, and you gotta wait for the date. You know, you can't do it whenever you're ready.
you know what? You understand what I'm saying?
I'm not delusional. I don't think, you know, that something like what I've done could start like a race war or anything like that, you know. But
I mean, would you like that? I mean, would that help?
Yeah, well, race war would be pretty terrible. You know?
Yeah.
People dying all the time.
Yeah, it would.
But, you know, I'd rather just, you know, just be able to, like, reinstate segregation or something like that, you know, without there having to be a race war. But, you know, there probably will be a race war eventually.
But just segregation, right? I mean, it's all.
I mean, that would be okay with me for right now, but like I said, that's sort of unrealistic. That black people aren't just going to let themselves, go back into segregation. Not that segregation was bad, it wasn't.
Good afternoon. First off, we'd like to extend our condolences to the families of the victims of the recent events that took place in Charleston, as well as the officers in the community. Truly a sad day for a lot of folks in South Carolina. I'm going to detail you the events that took place here in Shelby today that led to the capture of Dylann Roof. On June the 18th, 2015, 10:32 a.m., Shelby Police Department received a call from the Kings Mountain Police Department that a business had been contacted, or business had contacted them, of a possible sighting of the suspect from the Charleston, South Carolina church shooting, and it was possibly traveling into Shelby. 10:43 a.m., our officers observed the vehicle traveling west on Dixon Boulevard. The suspect was stopped by officers at 10:44 a.m. The officers identified the only occupant of the vehicle as Dylann Roof. Mr. Roof was taken into custody at 10:49 a.m. and he was transported here to the Shelby Police Department. Charleston Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, were both notified of Mr. Roof's capture. We currently have representatives from all the agencies that are involved in this investigation here on site to work through the process of getting Mr. Roof back to South Carolina.
How you feeling? Why did you do it? How'd you feel?
After his arrest, a website named The Last Rhodesian was discovered and later confirmed to be Dylann's work. The website contains photos of Dylann posing with symbols of white supremacy and neo-Nazism, as well as a manifesto in which he outlines his racist ideologies. Dylann had posted a picture of himself wearing a jacket with two flags often used by white supremacists. The flag of the country Rhodesia, which is known now as Zimbabwe, and the South African flag from the apartheid era.
What are those patches right there?
Oh, well, that's the old South African flag, and that's the Rhodesian flag.
Old South, like we're back when.
Yes.
Okay.
Rhodesia.
Can you tell me about?
In South Africa.
So the old back when apartheid, and back when it was a British colony, South Africa.
Right. That's the apartheid flag, and then Rhodesia, that was a country in Southern Africa, right above South Africa.
And was that their flag back when it was controlled by the white?
Right now it's Zimbabwe.
Okay, but that's back when the white people controlled.
Right.
And what is?
Oh, that's just. I got that jacket at Goodwill. That's just like a Richland County Academic All Stars or something.
Oh, okay.
Did those patches come on that jacket when you got it, or did you buy them and put them on there?
I bought them.
So what is the reason why you chose those parts? Of all the patches you could have chose, why did you choose those two patches?
Well, because they represent white people ruling in the homeland of Africans and ruling as minorities.
Ruling as minorities?
Yeah, that's powerful.
In the manifesto, Dylann claims it was the 2021 killing of Trayvon Martin that motivated him to become a white supremacist. In the manuscript, Dylann wrote, quote, "I read the Wikipedia article and right away I was unable to understand what the big deal was. It was obvious that Zimmerman was in the right. But more importantly, this prompted me to type in the words black on white crime into Google, and I have never been the same since that day. The first website I came to was the Council of Conservative Citizens. There were pages upon pages of these brutal black on white murders. I was in disbelief. At this moment I realized that something was very wrong. How could the news be blowing up the Trayvon Martin case while hundreds of these black-on-white murders got ignored? Unquote.
Well, yeah.
Oh, well, that's 1488. You guys probably know what that means.
Why don't you explain to me what that means?
14 stands for we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children, and 88 stands for Heil Hitler.
In the manuscript, Dylann also wrote, quote, "I have no choice. I am not in the position to, alone, go into the ghetto and fight. I chose Charleston because it is the most historic city in my state, and at one time had the highest ratio of blacks to whites in the country. We have no skinheads, no real KKK, no one doing anything but talking on the internet. Well, someone has to have the bravery to take it to the real world, and I guess that has to be me." Unquote.
I like Charleston. You know, it's really nice down there, and it's a historic city. You know, at one time, I think it had the highest ratio of black people to white people in the whole country. You know, when we had slavery, but you know, and then the other reason is just because that AME church was historic too. You know, it was an historic AME church. I mean, I guess that's pretty much the reason.
FBI investigation revealed Dylann was communicating with other white supremacist members online. But none of the messages seems to indicate that he was encouraged by them. After the attack, several white supremacist groups agreed with some points made by Dylann, but they condemned the attack. The victims' impact statement. The survivors of the massacre, and the family members of the victims, had an opportunity to make a statement during Dylann's bond hearing. Despite their pain and sorrow, all of them declared to forgive Dylann for his crimes.
You are representing the family of Ethel Lance, is that correct? And you are whom, ma'am?
The daughter.
The daughter. I'm listening, and you can talk to me.
I just want everybody to know, to you, I forgive you. You took something very precious away from me. I would never talk to her ever again. I would never be able to hold her again. But I forgive you. And have mercy on your soul. You hurt me. You hurt a lot of people. But God forgive you. And I forgive you.
Your name, ma'am?
Felicia Sanders.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders, for being here.
We welcome you Wednesday night in our Bible study with open arms. You have killed some of the most beautifulest people that I know. Every fiber in my body hurts. And I'll never be the same. Tawanza Sanders is my son, but Tawanza was my hero. Tawanza was my hero. But as we said in Bible study, we enjoyed you, but may God have mercy on you.
State charges and plea deal. Dylann was the first person in U.S. history to have faced both state and federal death penalty at the same time. Dylann Roof was charged with 9 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of possession of a firearm by the stated prosecutors. The state prosecutors sought the death penalty because more than 2 people were killed in the shooting. Dylann made a plea deal with the state prosecutors to avoid the death penalty. He confessed to having committed the crimes and was sentenced to 9 consecutive sentences of life without parole.
All right, Mr. Roof, you're pleading guilty to 9 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder, is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Roof, do you understand that the possible maximum sentence for the murder under the negotiated plea would be life without parole? Do you understand?
Yes.
And you have 9 murder charges. That would be 9 life without parole. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have any question of that?
No.
On the 3 attempted murders, you could receive up to 30 years on each one. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have any question about that?
No.
Do you understand the possible maximum sentence you could receive on all of them? Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand that you will not be eligible for parole on the life sentences?
Yes.
Have means what it says, life without parole. Do you understand?
Yes.
During the trial, Dylann did not show remorse and refused to apologize to the victims' families. But he did write a letter to his parents apologizing for the trouble he caused them. The letter to his mother reads as follows. Dear Mom, I love you. I'm sorry for what I did, but I had to do it. This note isn't meant to be sentimental and make you cry. I just want you to know that I love you. I know that what I did will have repercussions on my whole family, and for this, I am truly sorry. At this moment, I miss you very much, and as childish as it sounds, I wish I was in your arms. I love you, Dylann. The letter to his father reads as follows. Dear Dad. I love you and I am sorry. You were a good dad. I love you. Federal charges, trial, and sentencing. Despite Dylann presenting symptoms of several mental diseases such as social anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, autistic spectrum disorder, substance abuse disorder, depression, and a schizoid personality disorder, Dylann rejected forcefully the idea of using an insanity plea as an excuse for his crimes. He did not want to be seen as a weirdo, and he stated he would rather die than having his rationality and credibility questioned during the trial. His defense lawyer explained later. To Dylann, the most important was to make clear his actions were deliberately made to spread his ideologies as a white supremacist. When the defense lawyers pressed with the insanity plea, Dylann tried to have them dismissed and asked the judge to represent himself. This petition was later granted by the judge. During the trial's penalty phase, Dylann made no apologies for his actions and stated, I felt like I had to do it. I still feel like I had to do it. Dylann then made a vague plea for his life. Quote, From what I've been told, I have the right to ask you to give me a life sentence, but I'm not sure what good it would do anyway. Unquote. During the trial, Dylann's mother collapsed in the courtroom and was hospitalized. Later, it was confirmed that she had suffered a heart attack. The federal prosecutors charged Dylann with 33 federal charges, 9 counts of using a firearm to commit murder, and 24 civil rights violations, with 18 of these federal charges carrying the federal death penalty. On December 15, 2016, a jury found Dylann guilty on all 33 counts. Dylann Roof was sentenced to death on the 3rd of January 2017. Death sentence appeal. On May 25 of 2021, Dylann's lawyers made an appeal to revoke his death sentence. They argued many aspects of Dylann's mental sanity were not brought up in the first place, and that Dylann was too disconnected from reality to represent himself. The lawyers claimed Dylann suffered from schizophrenia, autism, anxiety, and depression. They also added that Dylann was convinced once the race war had started, the white nationalists would rescue him from prison. This was the reason he didn't care about the sentence. On August 25, 2021, the appeal was rejected by a panel of judges, and the death sentence was upheld. A month later, Dylann's lawyers appealed the decision of the panel again, and again the appeal was rejected, and the death penalty was maintained. Aftermath. A neo-Nazi group was created in honor of Dylann Roof. They named themselves the Bowl Cut, after Dylann's hairstyle. The group remained active until July 2020. The assault while in prison. On August 4, 2016, Roof was attacked by an inmate while detained at the Charleston County Detention Center. Dwayne Marion Stafford, 25 years of age, was able to exit his cell and reach Dylann Roof, who was detained on a different jail floor. Dylann was supposed to be detained under protective custody, but at the time of the assault, one guard was on break while the other had been called to do another task. Dylann suffered hits and bruises to his face and body, but he was not seriously injured. Dylann Roof did not press charges, and his attacker was later released with a bond. Morgan Roof. On March 14, 2018, several students showed interest in participating in the National School Walkout to protest gun violence. According to police reports, Dylann's sister, Morgan Roof, 18 years of age at the time of the incident, drew attention to her after a message she posted on her social media page. Quote, I hope it's a trap, and y'all get shot. We know it's fixing to be nothing but black people walking out anyway. Unquote. She was caught carrying weapons and drugs in the school's precinct. She was charged with 2 counts of carrying a knife and pepper spray on school property as well as possession of marijuana. No students were harmed in the incident, but as a result, Morgan had to pay a $5,000 bond and she was forbidden to return to the school. Many have interpreted Morgan's actions as an extension of his brother's crimes. Final thoughts. The most puzzling about this case was that Dylann was not raised in a racist family. He grew up around black people, and had several black friends. Dylann was self-radicalized through the internet, and it happened rather quickly. Just because he wrote the wrong words on the computer, 9 people had to die and families were forever destroyed. The internet is one of the most remarkable inventions of humankind, and the benefits are countless. But unfortunately, it also gives the opportunity to bad actors to spread lies and misinformation to serve their malicious agendas. Dylann Roof's case is remarkably similar to the case of Alec Manashin. Both were gullible young men who unfortunately started paying attention to the wrong people.